Hey guys, welcome back to another meal on my channel. Today we are making this beautiful stuffed salmon, so let's go ahead and get started.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place.
In a well-heated pan, I'm going to go ahead and add in some oil. And we're just going to go ahead and saute our onions and let that saute down for a little bit, about 3 minutes. Once it starts cooking down and getting smaller, we are going to go ahead and add in our garlic. But garlic does cook really fast, so we're just going to be very careful, making sure we're stirring that around and sauteing it for another 3 minutes. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and add in our spinach. I'm using a whole bag, but of course, spinach cooks down, so don't let it scare you. Pour in the entire thing of spinach and just give it a good mix. And you'll start to see it get a lot smaller. And you can just keep moving it around until it gets super, super tiny. As you can see, our spinach is really starting to cook down. And I'm just going to mix it a little bit until it is like completely disintegrated. Look at that. That looks nothing like an entire bag of spinach, but I promise it is. So once that's done, go ahead and turn off your heat and put that aside. I love using flavors from the previous thing that I cooked, so I'm not going to wash this pan completely out. Just going to take that spinach and onions and put that to the side while we work on our filling. Once you have that aside, go ahead and pull out your sauce and go ahead and put that in some room temperature cream cheese along with all the seasonings that are listed below. Along with the spinach, mix it around, taste it if you prefer to see if it is to your liking. I'm also going to add a little bit of cheese, which is definitely optional, but I think it's a nice touch to this meal. So now we're going to go ahead and put that aside while we work on our salmon. This part can be a little tricky because while we're stuffing the salmon, the seasoning can get kind of mixed around. So I like to do this part first so that I'm not flipping the filling back and forth once I stuff the salmon. So I'm going to go ahead and season the back of my salmon. I like to keep my skin on, and especially for stuffed salmon, I think it's pretty important to keep the salmon nice and strong. So I'm going to go ahead and season the front of my salmon as well with our basics, some pepper, some salt. And as you guys should know by now, I'm in Maryland, so I am going to go ahead and put that Old Bay on that. Salmon, of course, a little bit of Cajun seasoning, and I am going to use a little bit of salt-free dash seasoning because we did just put a bunch of seasonings on here. So I like to go on with a little bit of salt-free seasoning, and this really gets the job done. Once your salmon is nice and seasoned, we are going to go ahead and start opening the salmon. Oh gosh, I'm like fumbling. Okay, so for this, I like to cut lower towards the skin, but we are not cutting completely where the skin is because you don't want to take that off and you will not be able to stuff your salmon. So it's going to be a very low cut towards the bottom, but not exactly where the skin is. And don't worry about making the cut too big. You can just space it as long as you go. Once you're stuffing the salmon, if you feel like you have a little bit more room, then you can go ahead and open that. But don't overthink it because you definitely don't want to cut it too much in. So as you can see, I have it at a size that I like, and I'm just going to stuff that. And you don't want to overstuff it because once we do cook this, of course, it's going to come out. So it's up to you how you want to do that part. But I just like to have it right kind of at the end so that it's not like completely falling out once we put it on the stove. In that same pan we cooked the spinach in, we're going to go ahead and put our salmon back in face down. As you can see, the salmon is starting to cook because it is turning more of a white, lighter pink than that bright pink that we saw. And that is when I like to go ahead and flip that over. And as you can see, the skin is cooking. Just be very gentle with this part as well. Once you flip it, it can literally all go to hell. So just be very, very gentle when flipping the salmon over. To finish cooking my salmon, I like to put the top on it and let that cook down for a little bit. And as you can see, it's starting to cook down. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of lemon, which is a personal preference. I like to add in some fresh garlic along with some more butter. And I'm just gonna saute this like how you would do a steak. Really get the top grilled and get all those flavors onto that salmon. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of butter on top and put the top back onto my stove and let that melt down as well. Really getting all those flavors in that salmon and really getting it cooked thoroughly. That's the most important part when making stuffed food. It's just a struggle to get everything cooked. So if you're having issues, just put the top back on and let it cook down some more. After that, about 25 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and take my salmon off. And guys, that is how you make stuffed salmon. Tell me how your stuffed salmon came out, what you add into yours, and how you like this recipe in the comments below. Thanks for watching.